All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, Ship It Nation YouTube station? Back for Week 16 Sunday Night Football breakdown here. We got a good game on tap here tonight. Ham, big game for the Ravens here at home. 26, almost a 27 implied team total. New England heading on the road. 3-point underdogs on the road here. 48.5 point total in this one. Should be a pretty fun one here. Obviously, a big game for the Ravens. Ravens still have a shot to win that division there. And the Patriots still a meaningful game for them as well. So I think a pretty solid game to round off the Sunday slate of games, right? To end it. But I'll bring you in, man. How you doing, brother? Happy Sunday. What's going on?
Yeah, happy Sunday. Good real life game. A lot of playoff implications. You know, the Bills play this afternoon, so the Patriots will kind of know what they need to do to stay in the lead there. And then the Ravens, not a must win, but they need a win to keep pace with the Steelers, assuming the Steelers, if the Steelers win at the Lions. If not, that game could come down to the Week 18 game. So tons of talking points here, but a good real life game, absolutely.
Yeah, good real life game. And I think this is one of the first games that we're going to see, pulling our partner SaberSim here up on the screen to talk through it and break it down. Here, we're going to start by captains first, then obviously go over to position by position in terms of kind of the grand scheme overall. But from a captain position, this is probably one of the first slates that we've seen where the captain's going to be pretty spread out. I think overall, Drake May is going to be the most popular captain. And then it's probably going to filter down to Lamar Jackson, but Derrick Henry is going to be right there. Zay Flowers, Hunter Henry. I think there's 5 guys that we could see double-digit ownership up top in terms of the captain position when you look at it. And I think anytime that's the case, seems like a pretty fun slate here in general. But what do you see from the captain position or kind of broad slate overview in general here, and then take us into the captain as well?
Yeah, broad slate overview. I mean, we got a 48-point total, so we're gonna see some points. The New England defense missing some key guys. Milton Williams being kind of the big one. He's been gone a couple weeks. We've seen what happened to their defense the last couple weeks without him. And then this Ravens defense has been kind of up and down this year. Kyle Hamilton was a late add to the injury report, limited participant on Friday. I do believe he is going to play, but just something to monitor there. So I think we're going to see some points in here. We know Drake May has rushing and passing upside. Obviously, you know what Lamar can do as well. And then to me, Derrick Henry's in a great spot too in the captain spot. I've talked about Milton Williams being gone. James Cook ran all over this defense last week. The King had 25 carries 2 weeks ago. For whatever reason, they just couldn't get it going last week, and since he only had 11. But we know Derrick Henry, especially in prime time, I feel like he always steps it up a notch. So I really like Derrick Henry tonight in the captain spot. And then not too many other guys. I know I listed those 3. My last one would be Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers could shake loose. Carlton Davis was DNP limited participation with a hip. And then obviously you got Christian Gonzalez on the other side. Zay likes to work out of the slot, so he should avoid, Christian Gonzalez. So for me, it's a tight captain pool, Nades, but I do like the King at 15-3 would be my favorite overall.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you there. So it's kind of a 3-headed horse up top in general in terms of ownership. Lamar, Derrick Henry, and Drake May. Drake May just being with the 3-point dog on the road against a pretty good matchup for passing in general. So I could see a guy like Drake May be the overall highest owned captain, but I'm really not too worried about it in general here. So I'm I'm with those three. Some lower owned guys that I like up there. I think Zay is going to pick up some ownership up top, and rightfully so. I think he's fine, but I'd rather go to a guy like Mark Andrews. I think really good tight end matchup here. Tight ends against New England. Flowers at 13.5. Obviously, you can play him up there. It's not hard to afford him. But I think on the same team, Mark Andrews is pretty interesting up top, and you could see Mark Andrews get the 2 touchdown game, and that could be enough up top for what it does to the rest of your team in general. And then one kind of sneaky guy here in terms of the captain position is probably I don't know. I just don't think he's going to get played. Kashawn Boutte here. The reason being is wide receiver ones have absolutely just dismantled this Baltimore secondary over the last couple of games here. Boutte ran like 92% of the routes, had a tremendous target share in general. He has kind of emerged as the wide receiver one since he's returned back. Just looking at last week here, week 15 in terms of routes run, led the team in routes run with Hunter Henry and Mac Hollins. So Stephon Diggs is kind of taking a back seat, which if that's the case, and I'm seeing a sub 5%, 1 to 2% owned guy in Kashawn Boutte in a very, very, very good matchup as 3-point underdogs on the road, I think that's a really, really good tournament option here. So I'm going to be in on Kashawn Boutte quite a bit here up top. I just think he has a ceiling. I know there's some uncertainties there with all the pass catchers that Drake May can pass to, and that's why people are more willing to go to Drake May. But Boutte leverages all of that. I think he leverages Drake May on the same team. Guys like Travion Henderson are going to get played more. Stephon Diggs is going to get played more. So he leverages all of that within the same team. And it gets you on a different roster construction as well, because you have 10-8 compared to like I said, the 15Ks when everybody wants to play the Lamars, the Drake Mays, the Derrick Henrys up top. So I think he's kind of my under the radar guy, and probably one of my favorite captains overall in the slates. But outside of that, I don't know how much really Travion Henderson. I don't think this is a great matchup overall here. This Baltimore team has kind of held running backs in check for the most part here. Could he do it? Yeah, absolutely. But I'd rather attack him through the air here, personally, myself. And Ramondre Stevenson actually out-touched him in the receiving game aspect of things. And if that's the case, that's enough for me to kind of take me off of him. So for me, on the Patriots side, it's Drake May and Boutte up top. And then on the Ravens side, Lamar Jackson, Henry, and Mark Andrews are kind of my 3 favorites overall. And then if I had to add a 6th, it would probably be Zay Flowers or someone like that. But any closing remarks here for the captain from you, Ham?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think you kind of nailed it. With your guys, you touched on Travion there a little bit. Like, Travion had a big week last week, but like one of those plays was like a busted 60-yarder. I mean, they count in the score box, but man, I'm with you. Like, I just don't think it's his time to shine tonight, especially in this matchup.
Yeah, let's jump over and talk the flex here. Obviously, by quarterback position here, it's Drake May, Lamar Jackson, 10-8, 10-6. Lamar Jackson being cheaper than Drake May, I think is going to definitely be a talking point there. And I think part of that is his ownership still going to be held fairly in check. I do think Lamar comes in slightly higher on, but both great plays. And the reason for that is, I think, because Derrick Henry, right? Everybody wants to play Derrick Henry here, rightfully so. Great matchup on paper. They're home favorites in a must-win game at home here. It's D-Hember, right? All the things. But at 10-2 in the flex, right? I'd be probably more willing to kind of separate these two. I think they could get there together. But I view this very similar to like a Jalen Hurts, right? Saquon Barkley type situation. I went back and did some lineup study on single game showdowns between that team. And I will definitely do it here for the Ravens as well. But at these price points, I mean, 10-6, 10-2, you scroll down, you look at the values. I mean, we have some value, guys like Kyle Williams, Rasheen Ali. But outside of that, I mean, the value is very, very gross in general. So I just think they're very, very counter-correlated. In general, obviously, correlation doesn't mean a ton of showdown, but at those price points, I think that's where I would be willing. If I'm playing Henry, I'd probably be lower on Lamar Jackson, especially with one of them up top in the captain position and vice versa. But even the flex, I think doing like a max one of Lamar and Henry, I think is very interesting because it's hard to see the Ravens, in my opinion, running away with this game where they both kind of just smash and Drake May's not needed. Travion Henderson, granted, I don't love him a ton, but he is explosive where he wouldn't be needed. These other guys, right, that are spend ups wouldn't be needed in that case. So I'm personally going to try and separate these guys, but what's your thoughts on that? And then take us into the quarterback and the running back position here in the flex.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, if Henry's scoring touchdowns via the ground, that certainly hurts Lamar. Henry's not going to catch a whole lot of passes, so I certainly get that there. And then yeah, once you start jamming all of them in, you run out of salary real quick. But as far as Drake and Lamar go, I think they're great. They're great plays in the flex. Like, you don't necessarily need a bunch of receivers and or tight ends with them because they do it with their legs so much as well. So I think they're great plays in the flex. And then if we're going right into the running backs, to me, it's a one running back show. It's DeHember. For me, it's Derrick Henry. I love him, captain, flex. I'm not going to get to Ramondre. What did Keaton Mitchell do last week? I mean, I love Keaton Mitchell. They just don't ever play him. Let me look and see what he did. He had
Yeah,
one
I think
target.
Keaton Mitchell's actually a really, really sharp play. So Henry went for 100 plus last week against Cincinnati. Obviously, really, really good matchup. This matchup's not quite as good as that, but it's still a plus matchup for running backs here. Keaton Mitchell, 39% snap share last week, averaged 9.6 yards per touch since he kind of took the Justice Hill role with Justin Hill on the shelf. And I mean, at 3K, all it takes is one play to the house. I mean, he's very, very explosive. He's going to be 10 to 15% owned. So not low owned by any means, but he's not going to be like a chalky piece by any stretch. And like I said, at 3K and in teams where I don't play Henry, I'm probably pretty willing to play like a Keaton Mitchell or something, or at least think about it more so, right? I don't know if I play these guys together, but I think you could just at the salaries. But I think Keaton Mitchell's a really good play, especially in the flex.
Yeah, he's a home run hitter too, right? So he could take 170, like you said, pay off the tag real quick. I like Keaton at 3K. And then no Patriots running backs for me though.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I will say is he crushed right last week. Travion did, but again, it was the league's worst rush defense here. Much different matchup here. And it's mainly where the Ravens get beat by running backs is through the air. And last week, I don't want to put a ton of stock into last week, but I mean, Stevenson ran 20 routes to Henderson's 8 last week. And if that's going to be the split and how you beat Baltimore with the running back position in particular is through the air, and you're giving me a $4,000 savings. And I think, actually ownership, it looks to be going in Stevenson's way as well. But if I was going to play one, it'd probably be Stevenson. But again, that's what the field. So then you can obviously flip it and say, in terms of game theory perspective, Travion's are probably a pretty good play. But if I'm doing that, I'm probably just playing Travion up top and saying, hey, he's going to get there. And if he gets there, he's getting all the way there, right? 2 explosive runs, breaks it. Maybe he does take one of those screens or dump offs to the house, right, with his explosiveness. And if that's the case, I'd rather just play him all the way up top than probably in the flex. So I'll definitely be under on Travion on the flex. Ramondre, I think, is a pretty solid play as well. And then I think Rasheen Ali as a value play isn't the worst value play by any means. I think he's fine. He is the pass down roll guy. So if this does flip, right, Drake May gets out to an early lead or something, you could see Rasheen Ali get used a little bit more in terms of dump offs and out of the backfield. And he's got some speed as well. Obviously, he's their kick returner too. So the running backs, it's definitely Henry for me is clear cut number 1, then Stevenson number 2, and then Mitchell number 3. And then the fringe guys would be Henderson and Ali. But really those 3 and really Derrick Henry is kind of the main focus, much like everyone else I know. But that's just the way I kind of see it. Let's jump over and talk wide receivers here. You got Zay Flowers all the way up 9K. Diggs at 8,600. Talking about Diggs has really taken a back seat since these guys have kind of come back. Booty, Matt Collins led the teams in terms of routes standpoint last week from this team. They're at 7,200 and 4,800. I really like Booty quite a bit here. Wide receiver ones have just destroyed this Baltimore team like I'm talking about. Booty, I'm seeing at 10% ownership. Matt Collins, double to triple that just because of the salary savings there. But if I'm kind of avoiding Lamar and Henry pairings together when the field I don't think is going to do that based on the projected ownership here, I do have some more salary to spend, and getting up to that Booty over Matt Collins I think is very interesting. They're both good plays, but what do you see here from the wide receiver position?
Yeah, you alluded to it. I mean, we've seen what Diggs is now, right? He's a situational player 50% of the time. Mac and Booty are going to play 75%. Diggs is going to play about 50. Booty is kind of more of a, I guess, deep ball guy, right? Than Mac. Mac's more of a possession guy. I actually prefer Mac a little bit more because he is only 4,800, especially on DraftKings, where I think he could get 6, 8, 10 catches. Where I think Booty's going to go for more like 4 to 6 range, but like I said, Booty can take the top off it a little bit more. So I like Matt Collins at 4,800. I like Zay Flowers. Bateman's back, correct? Or is Bateman out again?
I haven't seen it. I'm assuming he's back having a projection. So I think, I think Bateman's
Yeah, he's
back.
been full all week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's back, but man, he's tough. Like, can he steal a touchdown? Yeah, absolutely. Like if you're playing a bunch of teams, I think so. But for me, it's Matt Collins is my favorite for New England. I mean, Diggs at 8-6. I just don't see how you can play that. And then I do like Flowers. Like if you have a Lamar in the captain, and if you even wanted to put Zay in the captain, I think you could do that just based off what he can get with his rack and his catches.
Yeah, no, I like that. Booty's definitely my favorite play overall from the wide receiver position. I get it. I get the reason why Matt Collins, right? Because he's more of the possession guy. Went 4 for 40 last week, right on 8 targets there. But I just think, wide receiver ones, Booty, I think is due for a big game. So everyone can make fun of my picks and plays and call him Booty when Booty it turns that O in his name to a 0 right in this game there. But overall, I like it quite a bit. I think Bateman's fine. It's definitely in Lamar type captain builds. The reason being is Bateman's never going to be the possession guy, but Lamar loves this dude for whatever reason. I don't know if it's old tapes in my head, but this dude always gets looks in the red zone. I feel like he's always catching touchdowns from freaking Lamar. I know he's been out with the ankle injury and things like that, but just looking, looking at it in terms of red zone, this dude has 6 targets over the last 8 weeks. Bateman, obviously, he's missed some time in there too. He's matched. I mean, that's number 1 on the slate. Him and Flowers both have 6 targets apiece. Bateman's going to be a fraction of the ownership, much cheaper there. Guys like Matt Collins in that range are going to be more popular. And then the tight ends that we're going to talk about. So I think Bateman's a pretty interesting play just as a sheer red zone touchdown type guy. Now he probably needs to do more than that at 3,400. But I still think it's pretty solid from a receiving prop standpoint. Not the best reception prop, but or receiving yard prop, 20.5, which is obviously below both the tight ends. But again, I think everybody's going to see that. So I do think, again, his projection would be much different if you gave him a touchdown, right? I mean, he's projected right around 4 to 5 points, right? You add 6 points, 7 points for a touchdown on there. Well, now he's in the 12-13 range, and it's a much different game at 3,400, right? So I definitely have some interest in Bateman for sure. Kyle Williams, I think, would be the flyer that I'd take a shot on. They love this dude in this offense. He's back. Drake May captain type builds. I think that's a way to be different. Not many people are going to click that name at $1,200. And we know what he can do. He's shown us before. So I don't hate some Kyle Williams down there as well. Let's jump over and talk the tight ends here real quick. Matchups for the Patriots tight ends, not great by any means. Hunter Henry, people love to click this name. I think his ownership is going to be somewhat held in check, but he's still going to be around that 30% range. I'm going to be selling on Hunter Henry. I don't really like Hooper or Henry at all, but I do like Andrews and likely both. And especially coming off the dud last week, right? And the nut matchup, the stone nut matchup, tight ends against Cincinnati, can't miss spot. People wanted to play Andrews and likely together on a main slate. I think that could somewhat hold their ownership in check just after they busted in the stone best matchup they could have got in football. I'm back in. I love both of them here. I prefer Andrews to Likely with the salary baked in as well, but I don't think you can go wrong with either of them. What do you see here from the tight ends?
Yeah, you nailed it. Like they both had the best matchup against the Bengals, both disappointed. And I think that was right after Andrews just signed his new deal. So man, and it's tough to to pick between those two. The Patriots are missing Robert Spillane, right? One of their middle linebackers. So I think that's going to open up the middle of the field. So I do actually like um, Mark Andrews tonight, and I like Likely, like just like you do at 4,400. I think both of those guys are in great spots. Lamar needs to get them involved to get them going, right? We know when Mark Andrews has those ceiling games, those 1 or 2 touchdown games, Lamar gets going. So I like Mark Andrews just slightly over Isaiah Likely at only 1,000 more, and then Hunter Henry at $6,400. I think is a little pricey, but he's the security blanket um, uh, for Drake. So I don't hate it, but I think he would be number 3 behind Likely and Mark Andrews for me.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather just get up to Booty personally in that range, or drop down a guy like Stevenson than play Hunter Henry. So if that's the case, then I can feel confident playing the chalkier pieces around him. If I'm not on a guy like Hunter Henry, I just don't think it's a great matchup here. The only time he's really kind of spiked was in specific matchups where it's kind of been excelling. And Hunter Henry just seems like a guy everyone wants to click in this offense, because for a long time, right, it was wide receiver roulette. It still is. So it just feels safe, right, to pair. And Drake May is going to be the highest owned captain on the slate. So naturally, that's going to lead to more ownership on guys like Hunter Henry, who feels like a safe click, especially for hand builders. So if that's the case, I'm glad to be underweight and just go more overweight on the pass catchers themselves, guys like Booty, even taking a stab on an overpriced Diggs for what it's worth, or taking a shot at these guys like Mac Hollins, Demario Douglas, and Kyle Williams, right, over these tight ends for the Patriots side, excuse me. But yeah, really like both tight ends. Likely and Andrews last week are number 2 in the team in routes run. Overall, obviously, much different matchup. They just didn't produce. They're still out there running the routes. They're still involved in the offense. The only guy more than that was obviously Zay Flowers there. So that takes us to kickers and defenses here. High total. Naturally going to have more interest in the kickers. And kickers has been the way, right? I was all for Jason Myers, and it was the kicker on the other side of that game. But hey, everyone said you couldn't play the kickers in that game. Their ownership came in under what we've typically seen kickers coming in because of the wind and the weather in general. I don't really think there's any weather issues tonight here. You got Tyler Loop at 5K, and then you got Andy Borgalis, who I think is a really good kicker in his own right. 5K, 5,200. I think they're both firmly in play. I'm seeing 20% projected ownership on this Ravens defense at 4K, missing some pieces. I don't love that personally, but again, kickers, defenses, what do you see here? Kickers have been kind of the way of showdowns this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. No defenses for me. I think the defenses aren't in great spots with guys missing. And then Borgalis and Loop are both squarely in play. Which one? I'm just trying to look. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna have interest in both of those. I haven't built any teams, but certainly will have interest in the kickers, just depending on where I go. And then yeah, no defenses for me. What did you say about the defenses? Are you in on the defenses or no?
I mean, if I get some, I get some. I'm not going to go out of my way. I would prefer the Ravens side, just like everyone, just because they've looked a lot better since like week 9 or so, right? 14, 8, 9, 11, 2 down games against Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, the 2 games that they lost. So if you do think the Ravens win this game, all the games that they've won, dating back to week 9, they've scored just about double digits. And at 4K, if they can get, obviously they start with 10, but if they can finish with like 8 to 12 in that range, I mean, that could be enough, because it could be, we talk about the values right on this range. If we go down and look at the range, 4K for the Ravens, I mean, Bateman, Likely, we know, obviously we like Likely, but again, he got a 0 last week. I mean, it's in his range of outcomes there. Douglas, Keaton Mitchell is obviously good, and you could pair him with the Ravens defense there. So, I mean, you just look at the value, and if the value is pretty weak in general, which I think on this slate it is, or the values that people want to go to, right, are going to be fairly popular. Guys like a guy like a Keaton Mitchell. If that's the case, then I have a little bit more interest than normal in the defenses, just because of doesn't take as much for them to beat what the other guys in their price range is. So if I had to pick, it'd be Ravens. But yeah, definitely like the kickers. I love both of them. Going to be overweight on both the kickers. I think they're both good kickers. And the Ravens defense would be my preferred. But any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, no, nothing to add. Yeah, good luck tonight in your contest. Hopefully, we see some Shipping Nation member up there at the top.
Hopefully close it out strong. I think we'll be back for next week for sure, I think. But I don't know what it looks like after that. Obviously, we're rounding out the regular season here. So no, I appreciate everyone tuning in over the course of the season with Ham here. So one more show probably for sure, week 17. Not sure what it looks like after that, but good luck tonight in those contests. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. If you're not a member, code's up on the screen there. Get in 5 days. Check us out. We do have single sport offerings as well, if those are of interest to you. But for Ham, I'm Nades. Good luck tonight. Hope to see those Shipping Nation logos at the top. We're out of here. Peace.